I'm not gonna eat this yet. My name is Cobus.
For the shoot, you look mad.
Today is a fantastic day. We're gonna be talking about coverage, filmmaking, and more specifically, coverage. Let's get into the topic. So right now I'm gonna talk about how coverage is everything. So why is it so important? So coverage is your choice of the combination of shots and camera angles that come together and form the scene. When you're shooting, whether you're the cinematographer or it's a one-man show, you have your camera, you have the lenses, you have different camera angles, different types of camera equipment. You can deal with things like, should I shoot it handheld, should I put it on a dolly? Techniques are just everywhere. The rule of thirds, the 180-degree rule. All these things are there, but together, you can kind of look at them as just being tools. You use these tools to basically make your shots that achieve two things. Number one, the shot's desired effect on the viewer.
Dad?
And number two, how that shot affects the viewer in the context of the shots around it.
This will feel a little weird.
This is the construct.
So while there is no definitive way to do it, I think most people are kind of taught something on the lines of this on how you should go about shooting a scene. You start with the wide. It's also known as the master shot, and it's generally the first shot you film when you film a scene that contains all of the action. Isn't there usually a series of medium shots that follow as we exchange a bit of banter? Yeah. And you can call me your insurance company, because I just wrote you off. That is a perfect example of something I would use in a close-up. Yeah, I guess that only leaves a two-shot left. I guess so. This is pretty much what a lot of people are taught. And it is a good way to get your head around, like, you know, as the scene progresses, so does the shots. Now, the only real issue with this method is that your content will look very similar to what everyone else is making. I'm going to show a scene of a film called Unspoken. Now, the reason I picked this scene is because it follows a man who's by himself and there's no dialogue. What progresses the story here is the actor and his performance and the camera coverage that's captured it. Your goal when you're filming a film is not just to cover all the scenes and get it captioned so that when you're editing you can put it all together. Your goal is to tell the story through using one of these or one of these. This is so much better than my first attempt, I'm telling you now. So in a previous scene, he just had a dinner party with his family and he's walking to his car. So we have this sweet jib shot of a car where he pulls out his keys. The next scene where he's in his bedroom, there is no wide shots I made the decision to deliberately not shoot a wide shot for that scene. I felt if I didn't, it would add to it. I believe the scene worked better without a wide. He pulls out his keys as he's going to his car, and it starts with a tight shot of his bed with the keys getting thrown on the bed. That's not a crossfade, that's not a zoom transition. The sequence of shots that follow are him collecting his thoughts. He grabs some stuff around his room, he looks at his guitar, and like, it ended up being one of my favorite scenes in film. But the whole time, the camera is only showing what progresses the story. Coverage. He's on his bed and he ends up going up to his shelf and grabbing what he needs. I think me a couple years ago, or someone starting out, what they would do is they would have him on the bed. As he gets up, they'll cut to a wide shot of him actually walking to his shelf, and then they'll cut to like an insert of him grabbing the thing. Actually seeing him walking is irrelevant to the story. It literally just goes from him sitting up to him grabbing the thing, and it goes from him looking at his guitar to him sitting there with it. You have no way to know how long he's been sitting there. He could have been just strumming his guitar for like hours. The fight scene of the Waltz. Covering fight scenes. Ah, I'm so excited. How should I talk about this? Keep in mind that this is only a recent realization that I've had. Fighting for the sake of just fighting really doesn't translate well onto a screen. Underneath this, and underneath probably every fight scene ever, is an underlying narrative. The underlying narrative for this scene goes a little something like this. Jake pulls out his gun, kills some people. Oh my gosh. Ella pulls out her gun, kills some people. Oh my gosh. Now, we just went from like, what, nearly 3 minutes of just drama to this. So it made sense to introduce a change in genre and pace and taking down some bad guys. My character goes in, he's no longer shooting people at distance, he's in hand to hand, and he's out of bullets. Oh my gosh, he literally just got thrown by this dude, and there's just people coming from everywhere. The guy from before is still coming at him, and once he takes him out, he gets shot at from this guy. Oh no, there's some guy shooting up at me from the bottom. What's happened here is, at the start, I shot some people and I was on top. Now after this scene, I basically put myself at a disadvantage. Even though my character's winning, he's technically being beaten by the bad guys. Wait, that didn't really make any sense. I've basically taken my protagonist, I've put him into something that's more than he can handle, which creates so much and just makes it awesome. She easily shoots people before this guy manages to get close enough to actually take off the jacket. And for a second there, she's in a complete enemy line of fire and almost gets shot before taking him out hand-to-hand. So the exact same thing happened to her. At the start, she's just shooting people, and then she's put into danger, which makes you be like, oh my gosh. I actually landed on like a tons of pads, but I just erased it in post.
Cool. Bang.
Yeah. And then we defeat the last ones and we run off. You can see it's not just mindless killing. That entire scene was pre-visualized with just me and my friend like a month before we actually shot it. And it's really interesting to see how some of the shots correlated from that. The main thing I wanted to do was put the good guy characters in a position where they're actually in danger and it's actually interesting to watch. Next time you watch an action movie, notice how the protagonist is generally always in mortal danger. There's story behind the action. That's pretty much a really basic look at what coverage is. Thank you so much for watching. You are so awesome. Be sure to leave a like and leave a comment about any filmmaking questions that are like bursting out of your mind. And subscribe if you want to be healthy this year.